Let's jump right into this explainer on Eckhart Tolle's monumental work, The Power of Now. Look, if you've ever felt like you're just endlessly running on this mental treadmill, completely exhausted by your own thoughts, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to break down exactly why your brain acts the way it does, and more importantly, how to actually break free from it. So I want you to let this question really sink in. When was the last time you were actually here? And I don't mean physically sitting in your chair. I mean mentally. When was the last time you weren't agonizing over something you said yesterday or stressing out about tomorrow, but just here, right now? Because the wild truth is, your anxiety isn't actually coming from your life. It's coming from your mind living somewhere else. You're not suffering because of the present moment. You're suffering because your mind literally refuses to stay in it. Think about it. What if the only moment your life actually exists is the exact one you're constantly trying to escape?
Okay, let's dive into this. It helps to think of your mind as a relentless time traveler, right? And it really only has two favorite destinations, the past or the future. If it travels backward, it's swimming in guilt, regret, or sadness about things that are already gone. If it travels forward, it's spinning up fear and anxiety about things that haven't even happened yet. But here is the kicker, and this is crucial. Neither the past nor the future are actually real. They're entirely mental projections. The only true, tangible reality is right now. Yet, somehow, it's the one place we constantly avoid. We basically spend our entire lives mentally living somewhere else.
To understand why this whole time traveling habit is so totally exhausting, we have to look at the biology of anxiety. Like in this exact second, as you're listening to this explainer, you're probably sitting down, right? You're totally safe, but your mind is busy imagining 100 different stressful scenarios. Answered emails, relationship drama, financial stuff. And here's the scientific catch. Your nervous system literally doesn't know the difference between a real physical threat in the room and a fake threat in your head. It triggers a biological stress response as if all 100 of those imaginary scenarios are happening to you right now. That biological reaction? Yeah, that's what we call constant anxiety. Think of your mind as this loud, chaotic movie projector. It projects these scary, stressful movies, like, say, tomorrow's intense budget meeting, right over the blank, peaceful screen of actual reality. Let's ground this in a daily scenario. Imagine you're washing the dishes. Reality itself is completely benign. You are perfectly safe, you can feel the pleasant warmth of the water on your hands, you smell the soap, you hear the clinking of the plates. That's reality. But that mental movie projector is so incredibly loud, it completely drowns out the warm water and the safety, forcing your physical body to live the stress of tomorrow's meeting today. Crazy, right? And this brilliantly illustrates one of the most shocking, life-altering truths from Tolle's work. You are not your mind. You are the one watching the mind. See, most of us completely identify with our thoughts. We say things like, I am anxious, or I am a failure. But none of that is actually you. There is a massive scientific difference between thinking and being biologically aware that you are thinking. You are the silent observer who's just noticing the loud projector. Honestly, most people are walking around trapped inside their thoughts, kind of like an inmate in a prison cell. They are so identified with that voice in their head, they don't even realize there is a door leading out. And that door is awareness. The very moment you can pause and say, wow, my mind is really spiraling right now, well, you're suddenly no longer the spiral. You're the one watching it. By simply becoming aware of the thought, you've essentially turned the handle, opened the door, and stepped right out of the prison. This realization completely changes how we process hardship. Because you see, there's a massive distinction between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. It's just the raw data of a difficult event, a loss, a failure, a heartbreak. But suffering is entirely optional. It's the mental narrative your brain adds on top of the pain. It's the voice going, why does this always happen to me, or my life is completely ruined. The exact moment you stop adding those heavy mental stories, the raw pain actually becomes so much lighter, and sometimes it can even bring this quiet sense of peace. So who is writing all these stressful stories anyway? Well, meet the ego. The ego is that false narrator in your head that constantly generates noise. It totally thrives on comparison, constantly telling you that you're either better or worse than someone else. It obsesses over proving itself and desperately craves external validation. But here is its Achilles heel. The ego absolutely cannot survive in the present moment. It requires the past for its identity and the future for its salvation. If you stay completely in the now, you literally starve it of its fuel.
Which brings us to a really heavily misunderstood concept: acceptance. A lot of people think this means just giving up or magically liking a terrible situation. But acceptance simply means stopping the fight against reality. When you resist what's happening, you suffer twice. You bleed energy once from the bad situation itself, and then you bleed energy a second time from your mental resistance to it. But if you accept the moment exactly as it is, you stop that secondary bleeding, and you immediately regain the mental clarity you need to actually solve the problem. We spend so much time convincing ourselves that peace is hiding, just behind our next promotion or a financial milestone or after we finally fix all our problems. But peace isn't a destination. It's hiding in plain sight, entirely within ordinary moments. It's in the stillness of a quiet morning, the physiological sensation of taking one deep breath, or just stopping to notice the sound of rain hitting the window. It is always waiting for us, but we completely miss it because our minds are too busy packing for a trip to the future. So how do we actually rewire our brains to practice this? Well, presence is incredibly simple, but breaking your mind's biological addiction to constant stimulation takes work. So here are 3 tiny, highly actionable habits you can start today. Number 1, eat a meal without looking at a screen. Just actually taste the food. 2, go for a walk without trying to solve all your life's problems. Just look at the trees, feel your feet on the pavement. And 3, take a single breath without immediately rushing to the next task. Your brain is going to crave the noise at first, for sure, but if you push through, it will finally quiet down. As you practice those habits, you'll eventually stumble upon the core realization of this entire philosophy. And it's this: peace was never something you had to find. It was something you were too distracted to notice. The absolute biggest illusion we fall for is that peace is some achievement we unlock later on. But you are never actually missing anything. Right now, in this exact second, you have everything you need to be at peace. You just haven't been fully present enough to feel it yet. Which leaves us with one final vital question. You now know the biological difference between the blank screen of reality and the loud projector of your mind. You know exactly where the door out of the thought prison is. So, going forward, will you spend the rest of your life passively watching your mind's imaginary, anxiety-inducing movies? Or will you choose to turn off the projector, step out of your head, and finally live in the profound peace of the only moment that actually exists, right now?